Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our program tonight. As we've been doing, we're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for rendering the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem as you have been doing. God bless all of our military members, wherever they might be around this world, and also the military members of our allied forces. God bless you all. May you all return home to your families in safety after your tours of duty end. God bless you and thank you for your service. We appreciate it ever so much. Folks, we are now starting another day. Another day. Does anybody know what today is? It's 3/23/23. We're not going to have another 3/23/23 ever in our lifetimes. This is a momentous occasion, actually. We appreciate being here at this time in our lives. God bless us all. We have a jam-packed program for you, folks. We've been working on this program for a great long time tonight. One of the first things I want to show you is something that my friend Will made for me about a year or so ago. This is a drawing. This is a charcoal drawing of a horse. Okay? This is from the William Kendall Gallery. You guys have seen the William Kendall Gallery. here on our chat. I want to pay special tribute to William. He's a dear friend of ours, okay? Look at that beautiful horse. Look at that beautiful horse, okay? Someone once said that a horse is more beautiful than any other mammal on the face of the earth. That was actually a statement given on MASH, rendered by Colonel Potter of the MASH series many years ago. Horses are indeed beautiful animals. I love this this drawing here. This is awesome. This is really, really awesome. I want to thank Will for this. I think I may have had this picture up on our program before, after he first sent it to us. But I wanted to pay tribute to him again. I talked to him just earlier, right before this program came on. Will is a dear friend of ours, and we appreciate him. The flag that you see is my father's flag that draped over his casket after he passed away. So I've got that up on my wall in my living room. Both that picture and the flag belonging to my father. Thank you, Will. Thank you for this beautiful tribute to me. It's unreal. It's beautiful. I can't tell you how much it means to me. It really does. Something else that I wanted to show you tonight was something that someone also sent up on our chat. One of my friends sent it to me. Rob Vogel sent it to me. Guys, you know Rob here in the chat. We appreciate Rob as well. He's a dear brother of ours. This is from the Superstition Mountains in Arizona. Where this shadow is on this mountain, it seems to show a cougar chasing a wild rabbit. This shadow appears twice a year during the week of equinox. This happens just as the sun is setting and won't be seen again until fall overtakes the summer. So we saw this and I thought I wanted to share it with everybody. It's beautiful. It really is. And yes, it does look like a cougar chasing a rabbit. That is so cool. Something else that I want to talk about, and I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about it. This is a picture done by Jeff Dunham, the comedian ventriloquist. The reason I'm showing it to you, this is his depiction of President Ronald Grump. Okay? It's a poke at Mr. T. Now, those of you that heard Mr. T put out a statement last weekend saying that he would possibly be arrested as early as 2 days ago, Tuesday. He still is not under arrest, and I don't think it will happen. The New York Attorney General has fallen flat on his face. It's very possible that he will not be able to get the indictment that he sought against Mr. T. His evidence doesn't come to light. As I pointed out before, the evidence clearly shows that the statute of limitations passed 7 years ago. Okay? That's number one. Number two, this indictment was first sought by Mr. JB and his DOJ a year and a half ago. The Department of Justice tried to go after Mr. T then, and they did not succeed, and they backed down because they did not have enough evidence either. And the statute of limitations had passed. This Attorney General, Mr. Bragg, in New York, pledged to go after Mr. T even before he was elected. He pledged that if he got elected, he would go after Mr. T. So far, his evidence has fallen flat on its face. Attorney General Bragg is a communist Democrat in New York. Every one of the communist Democrats in Washington have tried to take down Mr. T. They have not been successful. Why do they want to take Mr. T down? Because they have a chance, there is a pretty decent chance that the Democrat communists could be completely taken apart and arrested themselves when Mr. T would be reelected. And this is just one more step towards Mr. T's reelection. One more step. This has given Mr. T additional airtime on television and radio because of what Mr. Bragg did. I'll tell you this. If Mr. Bragg is not successful, he will not win another election, and someone else will come in. Mr. Bragg is a dirty socialist Democrat. Communist. Okay? I'm calling it like I see it. I'm also asking all of you, whoever hears my voice tonight, or hears it come out on this program on a delayed basis replay when you click on my video, please do not, absolutely do not get involved in any protest. Do not get involved in any protest whatsoever, because the Democrat communists in power in Washington, D.C. and around this nation of ours here in the United States would want nothing better than to bring in their instigators. Bring in their instigators wearing red hats to stir up trouble and try to cause a riot or some other major social dysfunction in society. They would love to lock us down. They would love to make arrests. As I stated before, about 2 weeks ago, when we first talked about this on about January 6th, 2020 or 2021, no one there broke any laws. No one there broke any laws except someone who broke a window at the Capitol. Those people that broke the window were the only ones that violated the law. Yes, people came in through that window, but they also came into the Capitol with the doors opened by police. The doors opened by police. And as you saw in the video that Carlson Tucker put out, nowhere in that video did it show anybody violating the law. More like tourists taking pictures. And the very person that's sitting in a federal penitentiary tonight, he was led around the Capitol by police. And at one point in time, there were 9 officers either standing around him or near him, and none of them reacted with any kind of image as to try to arrest him or to stop him. Several Capitol police officers even tried to get him in to the Senate floor, which they did. They tried to unlock several doors, but then they found an entrance and let him and the other people in. And what did that person that's sitting in jail do? He offered a prayer in thanksgiving for the police. For the police. The police did their job. They de-escalated the situation. One police officer shot and killed a woman, a defenseless woman, that entered through that broken window. A woman from San Diego, a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces, and he shot and killed her. No charges pending either. It's incredible what happened. Totally incredible what happened. But please, folks, there were FBI instigators in that crowd on January 6th. There were other paid instigators there. Do not get involved in any kind of protest. If you do, it will only turn and haunt the rest of us, because that is exactly what those people that are in power or trying to obtain power over us. That is exactly what they want. They want power. And if we give it to them, they're going to take it. And they are going to have control over us. As I stated before on another note, do not let your state allow digital currency. Do not allow your state to allow digital currency. Biden is trying to put it into power. Why? Because the Fed and the big bank in charge, the central bank, are trying to take over the banking system of the United States. If we allow it, they're collapsing small banks all over this country and banks around the world so they can control the financial system. If they can get control of the financial system, they will put the digital currency into effect before the end of this year. If we allow it. I am going to ask each and every one of you tonight, anybody that hears this program, please call your governors and tell them you do not want digital currency. If you have the opportunity, try and speak with your government or governor individually, on the phone or in person. If they get enough people calling them or going to see them, they're going to get the message that we do not want digital currency. Presently, Ron DeSantis, Governor Abbott, and many other governors are writing legislation to prevent their states from allowing digital currency to take effect. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to call Governor Cooper of the great state of North Carolina. I'm also going to call other governors as well, and I urge you to do the same and tell them we do not want digital currency. Not now, not ever. The governors can control it. The governors can stop it. They can also tell Biden to pack it out and get away from it. We, you and I, are the only people that can stop this. Us, all of us united together. United we stand is a good slogan. We can stop this, but only if we allow ourselves to. You have to stop it. I can't do it by myself, but all of us together can. That's why I'm putting it out on this program tonight. By the way, guys, guess what? We now have 625 subscribers to this program. As of 5:30 tonight, 625 subscribers. It's just barely been close to a month since we opened up this channel. And we've already got 625 subscribers and growing. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of April. I want to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of May and grow just like that. We did 10,000 subscribers after 2 years on the other channel. During the next 2 years, we got up to just short of 25,000 subscribers. We can do it again on this channel here. Please, folks, please let us make this happen. Please share this program with everybody you know. Everybody needs to see this because everybody needs to do this. If we fail together, and it's not going to be pleasant. I don't want us to fail. I do not want to live under communist Nazi rule, and that's exactly where we're headed. George Soros, enemy number one, who keeps funding these communist Democrats into office. He keeps putting them there. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, knocked out his district attorney that was funded by George Soros. And guess what? The district attorney tried to fight DeSantis and he failed because communism is not wanted. Even the courts will stand up and defend us only if we will stand up to defend ourselves. We must tell our representatives, the governors, the senators, and the House of Representatives of our state and also of the federal government. We must tell them to defeat the digital currency bill. We do not want it. We do not need it. We need to keep the almighty United States dollar. We need to keep sovereign the United States of America, each and every one of our states, Alaska and Hawaii included, and all the territories of the United States, Guam, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and others. We need to stand up for what is right. So please, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, please defeat this digital currency. Let's stand up and make our voices heard. Okay? This is absolutely necessary. We cannot allow this kind of crap to happen. Not now, not ever again. We can put a stop to this. You and I. If we don't, very shortly we will all be handcuffed and led around by our noses. Let's not allow that to happen. Okay? I want to thank Jeff Dunham for that picture. It says 1,000 words. It really does. Something else that has happened that I want to talk about tonight. Okay? Our sun has been putting out a lot of energy. Right now we are in the midst of a very powerful solar storm. A very powerful solar storm. Okay? Notice in the southern hemisphere, we have a huge high-powered solar wind. And that solar wind is going to bring us a huge solar storm in the next 24 to 48 hours. By March 25th, we're going to see and hear the full effects of a huge solar storm from the southern hemisphere of the sun. Notice those black holes on the sun. Those are coronal holes where the solar wind is coming from, where the plasma radiation is coming from. When this first erupted several days ago, we knew for a fact what was going to happen then. For the past 2 days, the entire Earth has experienced all kinds of earthquakes, large and small. Large and small. Nothing short of a 7.0. Close to a 7.0. That 6.8 was downgraded to a 6.5 over in Ecuador. That 6.8 over in Argentina was also downgraded to a 6.5. The Earth is moving. The Earth is heating up. The plates, the tectonic plates of the Earth are moving, and they're giving way. People are being killed and injured. Property is being destroyed because of what is happening. I want to make you all aware of it. We have seen large earthquake up in southern Alaska 2 days ago. A 5.3 magnitude earthquake in southern Alaska 3 days ago. Right after this present solar storm started coming from the sun. It's only going to continue and get worse. When that plasma from the sun reaches Earth between tomorrow or Saturday, all kinds of earthquakes are going to happen. Why? Because the plasma radiation, ladies and gentlemen, heats up the plates. It heats up the core of the Earth. When the plates heat up, they begin to slip. All that gunk and grime, like I've explained before, all that gunk and grime that's been holding the plates together starts to dissolve when that plasma radiation hits the Earth. It heats up the plates. All that gunk and stuff starts dissolving into a greasy-like substance, allowing the plates to move more clearly, a lot faster. Okay? It's happening. You can go over to spaceweather.com and look at that and see the parameters of what is happening. The reason I am talking about this, okay, is this. Right now we have a planetary K index of 6.0. That's a solar storm. We fully expect to have a KP index of 7, which is strong, sometime within the next 24 hours. It could happen even faster than that. The interplanetary magnetic field is at 20.26 and growing. Okay? Our magnetosphere is not protecting the Earth like it used to. We thought when the new planetary or solar cycle started, cycle 26, that our magnetosphere protecting the Earth would get stronger, but it really hasn't. So all this energy coming from the sun and the planetary radiation, cosmic radiation coming from throughout the universe, hitting the Earth, is heating things up. The planetary alignments doesn't help either. The planetary alignments happening around us out in space also increase the magnetic electronics of the Earth. The magnetic field is heating up. As there are planetary alignments, it increases the electromagnetics that are reaching the Earth. And that's also heating up the plates and heating up the core of the Earth. There's going to be a lot more earthquakes. We've talked about a lot of earthquake activity on this program. It's only going to increase. And if it increases like I believe it will, I'll be on the air on Saturday to talk about it. Okay? I want everybody to be aware of this. This is important. This is very, very important. Folks, also, please stick around for our entire program. The longer people watch this program, the greater chance that YouTube will allow this program to be seen. The more thumbs up you give us, we have 61 thumbs up right now. Please increase that to even 150 to 200. Because the more thumbs up we get, the greater chance that YouTube will put all the analytics together and allow us to be seen by other people here on YouTube, which will only increase our reach to people who get the message that we have tonight and in the future. We need to promote emergency preparedness. We talk about all these emergencies and possible disasters because, folks, we're trying to protect all of us. We're trying to get the word out about what is going on. If we don't, we're screwed. People are going to die. I know people are going to die anyway, but we can perhaps prevent people from dying by getting the word out, by helping people prepare and doing the things we need to be doing that we talk about on this program. We are the Lord's servants, by the way. We need to be about the Lord's business, and that's honestly where I'm coming from. This is not about Ron Tyler. This is about each and every one of us. It's about each and every one of us. That's why I'm talking about this. This is very, very important. Now, something else also happened today that if I don't talk about it, I will feel like I should have. Okay? Something else happened today in Massachusetts. Okay? I want to show you something. I'm going to show you a picture. There was another train derailment in Massachusetts. It had nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with the train in motion. It had absolutely nothing to do with the train that was moving. Notice the railroad car on its side right there. That is called a flat car. Many times railroads will place containers like you see here, one on top of the other, so that they might handle more freight, putting more cars on the train, handling more freight, not just getting paid for it, but getting more freight to where it needs to go. Notice this car, okay? I want you to pay specific attention to this car. The front of the car, look at the wheels on this car. It's called a truck. It's called a truck. The assembly of the four wheels on the front and back of each car is called a truck. Okay? On the left side of this car, like you see it here, you notice that the truck is in one piece. It's in one piece. If you look on the right side of this car, the truck has come to pieces. Okay? Notice the two wheels that are still laying in the railroad track bed. The two other wheels are off the track and are a good distance away from both the car and the other two wheels of the train. This means that the truck came apart. The wheel assembly of the truck came to pieces on this one particular car. Now, this may have been part of the problem that made this train derail. Okay, notice in this picture here. Let me enlarge this. I'm sorry, the other one may have been too small as well. Notice in this picture that I'm showing you now. you can see the two truck system, one at the one end and one at the other for the car. Okay? That's typically how it is. Now, Mary Greeley put out a video earlier. Okay? She didn't quite understand how train cars were put together. There's a pin. There's a pin. Let me put this right like this. Say my hand is the track or the truck of the car. Okay? One of the trucks of the car. There's a pin that sticks out of the truck, out of the top of the truck. That pin fits in a hole in the car, allowing the car to be towed down the tracks behind other cars, behind a locomotive. That is how these train cars go down the tracks. The truck assembly is not permanently connected to the car. When they manufacture these cars, each individual car, they sit them down on two trucks, just like this, two trucks. So the car will go right down the track. They have a crane that sits the car down over the top of the trucks, and the trucks are carefully maneuvered to allow the pin in the truck to go into the hole of the car. That's how this works, in case you didn't otherwise know. Now, notice those two cars on their side and the two containers. The two containers, one bolted to the top of the other, laying on the side in the brush. They came off the car, didn't they? They most assuredly did. But at the time this happened, the train was not moving. The train was not moving at all. Okay? What happened? At this point, it's anybody's guess. But let me venture a guess for the people in the train yard in Massachusetts, and yes, this happened in a train yard. You see 3 tracks here. 3 tracks. There was about 20 train cars sitting on the tracks right here. The tracks were co-owned by CSX Freight Lines. CSX Freight Lines and Norfolk Southern. Okay? There were 2 engines in front of one, I shouldn't say in front, but at one end of the length of 20 cars. 2 Norfolk Southern locomotives were at the head, one end of the train cars, but they were not connected. They were not connected. What I believe happened was a failure to maintain the tracks. A failure to allow the tracks to be inspected on a more regular basis. The tracks had become dysfunctional, and as a result, there was a weakness in the rails. Part of that weakness could have happened as a result of heavy rains and moisture that has gone through this area. Heavy snow and rains have made a mess out of various areas of this country and around the world. In this particular instance, the trains have not had regular maintenance, and the ground underneath the rails and off to the side of the rails was not adequately maintained for train transportation. And as a result, when these railroad cars were putting weight on this same track, the track bent. The track bent. Each individual steel rail of a train track is just that, an individual track, an individual rail. It's connected to wood pilings that we've seen ourselves all around the world. Okay? Great big huge 4x4 beams, about 3 to 4 feet, I don't remember exactly, but 3 to 4 feet apart, all the way down the track. They are connected with steel, what amounts to steel nails. Spikes, they're called. The rail is connected to that rail bed with steel spikes. I believe, because I have seen it, that the rail bed had come loose. It was not adequately maintained. And as a result, when these heavy freight cars are put there, or when the train is going down the tracks, as each car passes over that section of track, it wiggles those spikes in the wood, doesn't it? It wiggles them loose. And the ground underneath the track gives way to a certain extent, especially if that water, that moisture that has fallen in that area had deteriorated the track bed. The track bed. You can see the track bed in this particular photograph. The car was pushing on that piece of steel on that side of the track, and the ground underneath it gave way, allowing the cars to topple off the track. Mary Greeley had a photograph that she showed on her program showing a twisted rail. Okay? Again, here you see the wheels completely separate from the car. The trucks are completely separated from the car. The car fell. The freight fell off the car. You can see the car ahead of it with the two containers still attached to that car. Okay? I believe that because of money not being available, that the railroads have not sent out there what they call maintenance of way people to check the track and make sure it's sound and ready for heavy trains to go across it. By heavy trains, I'm talking about a 40,000-ton locomotive, a 25 to 30,000 ton truck with a car attached to it. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. We have members of our own EMA family whose spouses work for the railroad, and they have also verified what I verified, that the railroad has let track maintenance go to the wayside because they don't have the money to hire the people and keep the people employed to check track to make sure it's ready for a train to go down it. I've seen it. I've seen railroad crews, what they call maintenance of way crews, going down track and checking it. I've seen it happen. I've seen a lot of train bed being disassembled and thrown off to the side of the track. Many times the crews do not pick up any of those old timbers. They just let them decay beside the track. Or they're allowed, people are allowed to go pick them up to use them as decoration of their yards, or to hold flower beds in place, or whatever. That's what actually happened, I believe. Okay? Max Karamar says, looks like some undermining of that valley side, maybe by the rains and lack of upkeep. That's exactly what I'm saying, Max. That is exactly what I'm saying. Okay? I've been around trains a good deal of my life, either in North Dakota or other places. Pocatello, where I grew up, in Idaho. My grandfather worked for the railroad in Pocatello, in the Pocatello Railroad Yard. I've been in that railroad yard. I have been a train fan, what they call a rail fan. I've gone out of my way on many occasions during my adult life and my time when I was a kid, watching trains, because I love trains. It's as if I couldn't get enough train traffic to suit my appetite. I went out of my way many times, traveled some great distances to watch trains. I was a real rail fan. Okay? You see, I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rail cars dumped on their side. Yes, I do believe that this was due to lack of maintenance. Richard Smith says, with snow and rain today in Nova Scotia, I can believe that. You guys up in the northeastern part of the U.S. and Canada are really getting it, and more storms are coming. I can attest to that as well. But folks, I wanted to show you what I see here. Mary Greeley did a report. Because of my more expertise in this particular field. No, I'm not an expert, but I have experience. Okay? The bottom line is this: a freight train loaded with trash. Each of those cars was loaded with solid waste. It did not leak. The containers were sealed. The freight train loaded with trash derailed in Aveyah, Massachusetts. Ayer, Massachusetts. Okay? Now, it derailed for a reason. Okay? It derailed for a reason. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it derailed for lack of maintenance, and because the train bed itself was not sufficient to hold the weight of the track and the cars on the track. That's my own belief. Okay? Now, fire and police officials did respond to this derailment. I'm going to give you the story as I got it from CSX and the Ayers Fire and Police Departments. Ayer is about 30 miles or 48 kilometers northwest of Boston. Several cars of this freight train derailed today, earlier this morning. A woman that had been walking through the area saw the sealed freight cars laying on their sides on the ground and notified the non-business line of the local Ayers Police Department. Ayers Police first responded to the area. The derailment occurred in the area of what they call Scully Road, S-C-U-L-L-E-Y, Scully Road. A helicopter flew over the area and saw the blue containers that rolled off to the sides of the track. Tracks and freight cars are visibly damaged. The Ayers Fire Department responded, and fire officials said the train was parked, not in motion, at the time that the cars toppled over. Fire officials said the railroad cars did not contain hazardous materials. The Massachusetts Department of Emergency Management said it was informed about the derailment and told the derailed cars were carrying trash and recycling materials. Officials said, quote, "We are working with officials from the railroad, Ayer Police Department, and the Ayer Fire Department and Public Works to mitigate this incident. Members of the public have been cautioned to avoid this area. It was seen that the toppled cars behind the two Norfolk Southern engines, but the company Norfolk Southern subsequently said that they were not operating the train." A statement provided by CSX explained that just before noon today, a freight train operated by Springfield Terminals derailed 5 rail cars carrying 10 intermodal container cars. That's what they call this double-stacked train cars. They call them intermodal. INTERMODAL. Intermodal train cars on the Pan Am Southern Rail Line in Ayer, Massachusetts. The freight cars that toppled over happened at 11:30 a.m. this morning. Again, they were carrying sealed containers of trash and recycling material. For an unknown reason so far, the investigation has only begun, but for an unknown reason, the 2 double-stack containers on the multi-car stacked train in what they call a multi-car consist, C-O-N-S-I-S-T, a multi-car consist, that's what they have, the railroad calls the number of cars that are linked together, locked together, they call it a consist. It toppled over and it still remains in that same position. It ended up pulling a total of 4 other cars over. Each car was carrying this double-stack container for a total of 10 containers, according to the State Emergency Management Agency. There were no reported injuries to the crew or anyone on the ground. No hazardous materials were involved, no leaks or spills of any freight, and no impacts to the environment. CSX officials are responding to the scene that again is jointly owned by Norfolk Southern and CSX Railroad. They say they are working closely with first responders to assess the situation and develop a recovery plan, and the incident is still under investigation. That's the latest from Massachusetts. I got through talking with them just before my buddy Will called me. But that's the latest information, guys. Okay? There is no other. If anything else happens, we'll come on the air and tell you about it. But at this point in time, you know what I've shown you. Okay? There is no other story. You know as much as I do right now. Okay, there's a couple other things we want to talk about tonight. First off, the tremor map. Okay? Let me show you what the Pacific Northwest tremor map looks like. Okay? Look up here to the north. What you see here is Vancouver Island. Victoria, British Columbia, over here on Vancouver Island. Okay? You see the Puget Sound area. Okay? Seattle, Olympia, Portland area. Guess what? According to the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, there were no tremors in this area. Okay? You don't see tremors here in Portland and Seattle area. The only tremors you see are down here in southern Oregon, west of Medford. There are a total of There are a total of 237 tremors on this map, including those just south of Shasta National Forest, Shasta Volcano. As you can see, most of the tremors occurred just west of Medford, Oregon. And the smaller number down here around Mount Lassen. Around Mount Lassen. Okay? Guess what, folks? Pacific Northwest Seismic Network screwed up. They screwed up. They're showing 237 tremors, most of them being in southern Oregon. Really? I beg to differ. I really beg to differ. I did a survey. And guess what I came up with? Have you guys got any idea of what I came up with? I've done this before. Again, look at where the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network say all the tremors were located. I'm going to take you someplace different. Okay? This is Delta, Washington. This is Ferndale, Washington. Okay? Incredible. Look at the tremors here. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network did not show any of the tremors here. Well, folks, right here, it looks to be over 100 tremors, doesn't it? There most assuredly are at least 100 tremors right here. Guess what? That's not all, folks. There's more. How about Aberdeen, Washington? There's plenty of tremors here, isn't there? There's plenty of magma-caused tremors and even minor earthquakes here. But these weren't counted either. How about Fidalgo Island, Washington? Look at this. Here's another 100 tremors, Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Why did you not count these? Kimberly Hopkins says her granddaughters are headed to Medford, Oregon tomorrow for granddaughter's baseball. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What do we know about swarms of tremors? Usually those swarms of tremors mean sometimes a larger earthquake. Okay? But the tremors are not just in Medford. They're not just west of Medford. They're literally all over. They're all over. Let's continue here. I want to show you this. This is important. How about Grays Harbor, Washington? Look at this. Here's another at least 25 tremors here. Grays Harbor. This is usually where we see a lot of tremors and earthquakes. All the time, every day. Every day. How about the Grays Harbor Fire Department Meeting Hall? Here we see another place recording tremors, and yes, a couple small earthquakes. A couple small earthquakes here. Look at all these tremors, guys, and yet this agency claims there's only 230 tremors in southern Oregon and northern California. I'm showing you a lot of tremors in Washington. How about Loomy Island, Washington? Loomy Island, Washington. Look at this. What's wrong with this picture? Absolutely nothing. Look at the tremors here. Here's another 15 tremors to add to that list. This is northern Washington. That was Loomy Island. Let's go over to Montesaro, Washington. This is the Montesano Tree Farm. The Montesano Tree Farm. Look at this. Look at all the tremors here. This seismogram started deploying itself here yesterday evening after 4 p.m. Look at the number of earthquakes and tremors that happened just after 4 p.m. yesterday. Look at the number of tremors down on the bottom side of this seismogram. Okay, that tells me there was a lot more seismic energy there than what we're being told by the tremor map. Not to be outdone, but let's go over to Pacific County. This is Pacific County, Washington, Washington State. Look at the tremors in the one earthquake here. The one 3.0 earthquake that is not on the USGS map. It's also not on the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network's map. 3.0, guys. That's a good sized seismic event. And so are all the other tremors on this same map. This is Pacific County. I'm going to show you a few others here too. How about Ocean Shores, Washington? Ocean Shores, Washington. A little over a year ago, Marfugal, our buddy Adam, went here and he recorded a program, about a 10 or 15 minute video. He spoke to residents here in Ocean Shores. He said he spoke to fire department and policemen and found that no one had ever been told about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. No one had been told all the information that was out there that is affecting Ocean Shores and every other place in Oregon, Canada, and Washington. Nobody's talking about it. The police and fire departments have had no training whatsoever when it comes to earthquakes, let alone tsunamis that will hit this area. Look at the tremors here. You can see it. You can also see lava. I should say lava. You can also see magma coming through the magma chambers out here. You can see it entering the magma chambers here. It's evident of what's going on. Magma is going through the magma channels underground here in Ocean Shores, Washington. You can see the tremors here. You can also see the earthquakes that have hit here today. And I'm going to say up at the top in the center here, that was a 3.0 earthquake. Over on the right hand side we see another earthquake here. That was like a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Minor earthquake. Down below you see a red lined earthquake. Okay? The big one there in the center. Okay? That one's also 2.7, 2.8 magnitude earthquake. A minor earthquake. You can see tremors all over this. Okay? Why are they not reporting these? This is on the coast of Washington. Okay? Why are they not reporting these tremors? Okay. Next, Kemmermere, I'm going to address your question about the NASA Fire Info Map. Okay? I'll address that in just a minute. I want to finish talking about this. And Max, you're on the money. You are on the money. Okay? Let me show you Pell, Washington. Actually, before I do that, let me show you Orcas Island. This is Orcas Island. Look at that earthquake. That red-lined earthquake there. When did that happen? Inquiring minds want to know, when did that earthquake happen? Why is it not on the earthquake map? This happened at about 04:25 a.m. this morning. 4:25 a.m. this morning on Orcas Island in that area. That is a decent sized earthquake. Anybody out there would have felt this earthquake. Look at the tremors here. Okay? There's at least 6 more tremors on this particular seismogram. Orcas Island. Orcas Island, guys. Why is nobody talking about this? Look at the tremors here. Okay? They say there's no tremors around there. There most certainly is. Why are they not talking about it? I have real problems with that. How about the Pacific Rim Institute? Look at this. We see some tremors yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening here. We also see a good-sized earthquake here. Look at that. Okay? This just happens to be the same earthquake that I just got through talking about on Orcas Island. The same time. Look at the other tremors here. There most assuredly are tremors up in northern Washington, all over the Washington-Oregon border. Okay? All sorts of them. And yet they're trying to tell us that nothing happened. Okay? Already here, I have shown you several hundred more tremors in Oregon and Washington. They have no business saying there's nothing happening. Look at this. This is Willapa Golf Course. Willapa Golf Course. Okay? I'm sorry, no, this is the port of Willapa. I haven't shown you Willapa Golf Course yet. This is the port of Willapa. Okay? Look at the tremors here. Some of them 0.2 microquakes, 0.3, 0.4 microquakes here. Look at all that information here. Look at the tremors here below that. Again, here's another 50 tremors to add to this list. That's Willapa Harbor, Washington. Let's go over to Radar Ridge, Nacelle, Washington. Look at this. Do any of you have a problem with what we're seeing here? Right here on this very same seismogram here, there's probably close to 100 tremors here. Look at that. Close to 100 tremors there. And this is today, not even last night. This is today. Okay? There are a lot of tremors here. So now we're probably approaching 800 tremors. What do you think? Are we approaching 800 tremors? I think we are. Max Kimmerer is saying, I was trying to say the fire map is showing hot spots in California and Oregon. It's very hot for the past week. Another way to watch out for quakes, even starting fires from underground that are not reported. You're absolutely right, Max. You are absolutely 100% right. Okay? I was even looking at the College of Dupage today. Most of it was all covered in storm. All covered in storm. But yes, if you go to the right selections on the College of Dupage, you can see hot spots also. Washington, Oregon, and California. You can actually see hot spots all over the United States from the College of Dupage website. Okay? Rebecca Griffith says we are buffering a lot. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I hope you can come back here. Okay? Go out and come back in. Linda Covington says, where are the churches? That's what I want to know. Yes, the churches should sound the alarm about what we talked about earlier. I totally agree. Texas Lady says, no buffering there. The video is good. I'm glad. And I just looked down and checked my own bandwidth. My bandwidth is great. So we're not buffering here either. And our signal's not being held back. Rob says, Ginger Gal's been on this channel for 2 years. That's awesome. Don Patoka says 5x5 in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's great too. Anyway, what am I saying here? Why am I going through this? Showing you all the hot spots seismically. Why am I doing this? This is the Tioga Law Enforcement Fish and Wildlife Center in Washington, over on the coast. Okay? Look at this. There's another 100 tremors here. Okay? If we hadn't reached 800 before now, we are now. There are probably 1,000, count it, 1,000 tremors all over Washington, Oregon, and even Northern California. Folks, this is Willapa Golf Course, Willapa Harbor Golf Course. I counted these before. I'll count them again for you. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 tremors here. And if you count the tiny 0.1 up at the top right, there's 13 tremors on this seismogram. Okay? What am I saying here? The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is hiding information. Yes, I had to go look for this. It took me about 2 hours today just to look for this tremor information because of what I saw on the tremor map. The tremor map is far from being accurate. Far from being accurate. It's terrible that they have gone to this extent to not be honest with everybody. Okay? Now, let's go over to the volcanoes in Washington. Okay? Let's look at this. This is Glacier Peak, Washington. Glacier Peak volcano. Look at the earthquake at the top of this. Okay? Look at that earthquake at the top. Folks, this earthquake at the top is a 3.0 magnitude earthquake. Yes, there are tremors on this seismogram again. Okay? A bunch of tremors. Look at this earthquake this afternoon. Well, I shouldn't even say this afternoon. Look at that earthquake this morning, over here on the left-hand side. This is a 3.5 earthquake. This is at least a 3.5, maybe a 3.6 or a 3.7 earthquake in the black. What are we seeing here, guys? Why are we seeing it? We have to go searching for evidence of what's going on. They will never be honest and tell us what is happening. This is a volcano. This is a volcano. Many times, folks, this network, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, does not have anything listed on this seismogram at Glacier Peak Volcano. It's a very active volcano. Look at the bottom left-hand side here. I'm talking about that magma churn signal. Look at that. Magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines high. This magma churn signal is 50% of real world. This is 50% of real world. Why am I questioning this? Why am I pointing that out? Because, folks, these earthquakes and tremors that you're seeing on this particular seismogram, guess what? They are larger. The vertical lines are larger. They are longer than they are being depicted here. If we multiply this by 2, maybe by 2 1/4, we come up with a realistic answer here. This earthquake up on the right upper side here is at least a 3.0 earthquake. Yes, we have tremors here. You see that. This earthquake here this morning, after 9 a.m. this morning, that was at least a 3.4, 3.5 magnitude earthquake. Okay? Those lines off to the right side of that magma churn signal, that is steam that is escaping the volcano. This volcano here is steaming. It's also getting ready to erupt. It doesn't have that many earthquakes showing that there is a possibility of eruption, but nonetheless, These volcanoes are recharging. They are recharging for a reason. Okay? They're recharging for a reason. They're getting ready to erupt. There's no doubt in my mind about what is about to happen here. Let's continue. Okay? I tried to get you information about Mount Baker. Well, guess what, guys? Mount Baker, every one of the seismograms was screwed. It was screwed up. They purposely let the seismograms on Mount Baker get screwed up. They screwed them up. There is not one seismogram at Mount Baker that's worth the paper it's written on. Not one. Which is sad. I went to several others, and I'm talking 5 or 6 other sites at Mount Baker, showing us any information at Mount Baker at all. Guess what? There weren't any. Just wasn't any. Let me show you what is going on at Mount Rainier. Look at this, guys. This is Mount Rainier, Camp Sherman. Look at what we're seeing here. Okay? This is very telling. From last night, the top of this seismogram here started out at 4 p.m. yesterday evening. You can see the minor earthquakes and the tremors hitting this volcano. That dark blue line just after 10 p.m., 2200 on the left-hand side, that's 10 p.m. This is about 10:25. I'm sorry, no, that's not true. It's about 10:10 in the morning, in the evening here. 10:10 last night. 10 minutes after 10. Look, guys, this was at least a 2.7, 2.8 minor earthquake on that dark blue line. You can see the tension that that earthquake created. How did it happen? Magma infill coming into the volcano, fracturing rock inside the volcano, caused that earthquake. Volcanic uplift at Mount Rainier. You can see tremors all over this seismogram. If you see any tiny lines here without any kind of dot in the middle of them, those, friends, are steam signals. Steam coming from this volcano. And you can see what is going on here. You can see the earthquakes. You can see the tremors. Look at these earthquakes here. Long-lasting earthquakes. Long-lasting earthquakes. Most of these are just minor earthquakes. 2.5, 2.7 minor earthquakes. Look at all the tremors hitting here. Look at this. That's an awful lot of seismic energy for just one volcano. Just one volcano. And yet we have not even begun to scratch the surface of exactly what is going on here. Okay? Let me show you another here at Mount Rainier. Okay? So you get a good feel for what we're seeing here. That was Camp Muir. That was Camp Muir. This is Camp Sherman. This is Camp Sherman here. Look what we're seeing here. Okay? See that great big, large, good-sized magma churn signal? What is it telling us? This magma churn signal is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines high. This magma churn signal is telling us that this particular seismograph that printed this seismogram has been turned down to 25% or less. The machine has been turned down to 25% or less. Meaning what we're seeing here is about 1/4 or less of the truth of what's happening here at Mount Rainier. These tremors that you're seeing may even be possible larger earthquakes. 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes. The very tiny ones are just 1.5, 1.8 tremors, microquakes. Look at the tremors and microquakes hitting here. None of the tremors here figure into that tremor flow on the tremor map. Okay? They don't even figure into that. This is something different. Something entirely, substantially different. But look at the tremors hitting here. Again, another magma churn signal at the bottom of this as well. Usually we see 2 of them a day, and that's exactly what we have here. 2 magma churn signals. And we have earthquakes here. We have incoming magma into the magma chamber of this volcano, Mount Rainier. We know for a fact, from talking about it and seeing the evidence, we know for a fact that Mount Rainier is gearing up to erupt. It's gearing up to erupt, guys. We need to be very careful with what we do and see here. Okay? People are going to get hurt when these volcanoes explode. And they are going to explode. On video, we've seen video images of Mount St. Helens exploding. The eruption of the 1989 St. Helens volcano was huge. The 2003 Mount St. Helens volcano was child's play compared to the 1980 eruption. Mount St. Helens is also getting ready to erupt again. We'll get to see Mount St. Helens in just a few minutes. Okay, I want to show you another seismogram from Mount Rainier. Okay, this particular shot comes from a different place at Mount Rainier. It comes from Emerald Ridge. It comes from the seismograph that records information at Emerald Ridge. The seismograph itself needs some fixing because the seismograph is not recording accurately. However, this is a spectrogram from Emerald Ridge for Mount Rainier. The yellowish orange blue lines here, are heat coming from the magma chamber of the volcano, coming from the magma deep inside the volcano, and the heat is racing to the outer sides of the volcano. You can see these lines reaching up to the top. These are heavy duty heat lines, vertical lines, showing the heavy duty heat inside Mount Rainier. And what's at the other volcanoes? The same thing. The same exact same thing. Okay? These volcanoes are getting ready to erupt. We saw Lahar going down Mount Rainier about 2 years ago. We covered that. We showed the lahar fall off the very top of Mount Rainier. Well, guess what? We now have a lot of snow, melting snow at that, at Mount Rainier. What's going to happen this year? Is it going to rain or snow at Mount Rainier? What's going to happen? We don't know. But we need to be very watchful, because this spectrogram could show this volcano erupting. If we had heat, many lines of heat all over this seismogram, that would tell us that this volcano is going to erupt, and erupt at will. Okay? You also need to keep an eye on these same spectrograms. The spectrograms will also be your guide as to how hot it is and how hot that it is going to become. The spectrograms show us a big deal of information, and this one surely did. Okay? Let's continue south. Let's go over to Mount St. Helens. Good old Mount St. Helens. Don't you just love St. Helens? I do. There's a reason I do. Watch what I have to show you at Mount St. Helens. I think you're going to be blown away. I think you're going to be totally astounded by what we're going to show you here at Mount Rainier. Again, this is a big deal. This is huge. This really is. Are you ready? Do you have your seatbelts on? Do you have your seatbelts fastened? I hope you do, because we're going to take you for a ride. We're going to show you some other information here that could boggle your mind. Why? Because, folks, it's real. It's very, very real. I don't like talking like this. I really don't. I want to show you happiness. I want to show you peace. But quite frankly, how can we find that when we have pictures like this that show a definite change in forecast? And this is just for here, but all of California. It's all going. It literally is all going. Let's continue here. Let's continue. Let's go over to Mount St. Helens. Look at this. This is still a huge amount of seismic information here at Mount St. Helens. Yes, we've had some 0.6s, 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, yes, 1.5, 1.6 energy here. We've seen a lot of energy come and go here. But there's still a lot of information here. Today, up at the top, you see tremors here. You see tremors here. That blue, lighter blue earthquake up at the top. Okay? This happened at 1840. About 1840 hours. 6:40 p.m. Okay? That, my friends, if we take it for what it's worth, is a 2.4, 2.5 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. Yes, we see some blobs on this seismogram. These blobs are magma entering the magma chamber of this very same volcano. Okay? This first one was 2.6. This second one, okay, we see a minor earthquake stalling out before that. Yes, that is a minor tremor building up for another good-sized earthquake. This looks to be a 2.1, 2.2 magnitude earthquake. Not a big one. Okay, we see that great big triangle coming out to the right side of that earthquake. That, folks, is a secondary wave of the earthquake. The secondary wave. Sometimes we see that, sometimes we don't. Mounds have coconut, alms don't. Yeah. In this case, we have seismic energy in the form of a secondary wave. The P wave you see strong here. The P wave is a primary wave of energy, of seismic energy, in the form of a tremor or an earthquake. Down here in the lighter blue, you see another 2.2, 2.1 earthquake. You see the great big triangle off to the right side? That is secondary seismic information. Secondary waves coming from this earthquake. You see other earthquakes here as well, don't you? Those continue. You can see them continuing. Down here at the bottom, this is 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, serious, guys. That still is showing you a lot of magma entering the magma chamber of this very same volcano. Okay? The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the volcano. That's what we're seeing. And we see that seismic energy continue. Okay? It's not as heavy as that one line is, but it's still heavy enough. Okay, there's magma down there, guys. There's a lot of magma down there. Let's continue. All right. So we showed you Mount St. Helens. Let's show you this one. Okay. This is Trade Dollar Lake. Trade Dollar Lake. There's several reasons I wanted to show you this seismogram. Okay. Look what we're showing here. We're showing you that same magma churn signal on this. We're showing you those earthquakes. We're also showing you the magma coming into the magma chamber. The thicker lines going into thinner lines and going back into thicker. Those are magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals. Okay? Incoming magma into the volcano. Right? But look what happened here in the center of this seismogram. Just before 4 a.m. this morning, they turned it off. They turned the seismic device off. Seismograph idled. Anytime you see a line going up on a seismogram like this, it means that they shut off the seismograph. Shut it off. And it was off for quite a few hours. Each line would represent a 15-minute time period. As you can see, this seismograph was off for hours. Then it came back on. It came back on. This came on at 8:30 a.m. this morning. 8:30 a.m. this morning. Okay? It started off very low, very calm. They turned up the sensitivity on this seismograph. They turned it up to show you all of this. This is a lot of magma coming into Mount St. Helens. It's a lot of magma, plain and simple. First they had it turned off, they had it turned down, then they turned it back on. Okay? Down here in the bottom right, there is a magma churn signal. However, it cannot be fully shown on this seismogram. It would have been cut off, wouldn't it? Let me tell you this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines high. This may have been larger than that. This may have been as much as 10 lines high, which would have been about 48% of real world. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt what they did here. Between the time last night and yesterday afternoon, things that happened, the seismic events that happened, they turned it down, then they turned it off. They kept it turned down for a while here, for about an hour. Then all of a sudden they started it up again. And they let it flow. And all of a sudden we see a lot of magma coming into the magma channel of this volcano. And we have vertical lines going through these magma signals. That is tremors and earthquakes hitting this volcano, because the magma coming into the volcanic chamber is hot, extremely hot, and it's flowing in under pressure, causing those earthquakes and tremors, causing rock fracturing. That is really what is going on here. Again, this is Trade Dollar Lake at Mount St. Helens. Let me show you something else about Mount St. Helens. Okay, we have to go to several different seismograms to get information. Okay, this seismogram here is at Mount St. Helens. This particular seismogram is September lobe. It's coming from the seismograph that's located at the top of Mount St. Helens, and it stands on legs just like this, right up on top of the plug. Every volcano has a lava plug that is gotten cold over the years, has solidified, and is keeping the magma inside the volcano. This seismic device, this seismograph, is sitting on legs on top of the dome of the rock of the volcano. Okay? What is it recording here on this seismograph? Okay, look at this. We're seeing these VLF waves, right? Very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into this volcano. Look at the heavy times of magma coming into this magma chamber. Number one, it's around 10 p.m. It's between 10 and 11:30 p.m. Number two, look further down here. Okay, it starts off again at about 4 a.m. and it continues the rest of the day. It continues the rest of the day. What did we see on that previous seismogram? Anybody see it? Can anybody tell me what we're really seeing here? They turned this seismograph off, didn't they? They turned it off. Look when they turned it off. Just about 4 a.m. 4 a.m. What did the September lobe seismogram tell us? This one says it was turned off about 4 a.m. Let's go back. Let's go back over here and see here. Okay? They turned it off at 4 a.m. Look at the amount of seismic energy. Look at the amount of magma that's coming into this volcano at 4 o'clock, at and after 4 a.m. this morning. This is why they turned that other seismograph off. They did not want anyone to see that the magma of this volcano was multiplying inside the volcano. They did not want anybody to see this. Okay? That's why I'm showing it to you. So you have something to compare. They shut off one device, and we have some other way of looking at it, don't we? Heavy duty magma came into this volcano after 4 a.m. This proves that they shut it down because they did not want us to see what exactly was going on. Isn't this interesting? They did not want anybody to see this. Okay? It's very interesting what happened here. They did it for a reason. They did it for a reason. Okay? We can see that they muddled with it, didn't they? Yeah, they did. We can see clearly why they did it. Heaven forbid heaven forbid that they show us what is really going on. Max Kimmerer says they're trying to scare everyone. Well, yeah, that's exactly my point. That's my point about everything. They don't want us to see what is going on. People would leave. People would leave that live around Mount St. Helens. There are a lot of people here. There are people that live on the mountain itself and the surrounding valleys. Okay? There are people there. Brothers and sisters are doing the same thing at Mount Rainier and every other one of the volcanoes. Every one of them. Because heaven forbid that we know the truth. The truth will make us free. Everyone. If you want to know something about a fact, research it yourself, just like I did here. Okay? Max Kimmerer says it's all about the money. They don't want people leaving the state. Heaven forbid that people would leave the state. People would leave that area in particular. They don't want to be around a volcano that's going to massively erupt. And that's exactly what Rainier and Helens and Hood and Crater Lake and Sisters Volcano, Newberry Volcano, they're all going to erupt in a massive way. We don't see all the energy right now at Glacier Peak, although Glacier Peak is also getting ready itself. It's not as heavy as the other volcanoes, but it is getting ready. It's upping the ante. We see it happening up at Mount Baker, up at Mount Constitution, and even Olympia Mountain. Okay? I've got seismographs from Olympia as well. It's inundated with earthquakes and tremors and steam. Olympia is a volcano as well. Do you see what I'm talking about? We have to stay on top of this. That's why we talk about Cascadia on Mondays and Thursdays. And yet I did not show you all of the volcanoes. Let me reassure you, every one of the volcanoes that we talk about is getting in shape to re-erupt. It's going to erupt again. Everything in the Cascade Mountain Range, from Mount Lassen in Northern California north, up to and including all of the volcanoes in Washington, the volcanoes in British Columbia, and I'm talking about Haida Gwaii. I'm talking about other volcanoes over in the mainland of British Columbia. Yes, they're all getting ready. They're all getting ready. Folks, we need to get ready. We need to get ready. Don Patoka says the 4 pillars of preparedness are people, provisions, protection, and productivity. We need to write an emergency preparedness plan, not just for earthquakes, but for everything else that is happening, even the stuff that involves politics. We need to stay one step ahead of the government. Please do what I asked you to do. Call your congressman from your state and the federal government. Call your senators from the state and your government and tell them not to allow digital dollars in our states. Okay? Call Washington. Call everybody. Make the Washington operator crazy, because she'll have to patch you through. Make her work for it. Tomorrow, make those Washington lines red. Okay? Please. We do not need a digital dollar. That is to control us. They're shutting down the banks to control us. It's one more step towards absolute monetary control over all of us. They're doing it. They're trying to make our lives miserable. Price of gas has gone through the roof. The price of groceries has gone through the roof. The price of medical care has gone through the roof. Some hospitals, by the way, are closing down. Hospitals are closing down, guys. Why? So we won't get the medical care we need as well. Yes, folks, that's what's happening too. Now, folks, I want to share one other thing before we go tonight. Okay, I want to show you one other thing. I want to show you this. I have always ended this program with a word of advice, spiritual advice. Okay? I've been doing this for a long time now. This comes from Psalms chapter 73, verse 26. My flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the sure strength of my heart and my portion forever. My flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Let us remember that. We can be strong spiritually and physically. Let God take charge of your life. Let God in. We're coming into the period of the Easter season, the season of renewal. Let's celebrate God in our lives. Let's celebrate Jesus Christ and his resurrection. Let us celebrate his death and his resurrection in the coming weeks. Brothers and sisters, may God bless you. May God keep you in the palm of his hands. I love you, brothers and sisters. That's why I'm here, telling you about all of this. We need to be ready. May God bless us with a never-ending zeal for life and righteousness in our lives. That's my prayer for all of us. God be with you till we meet again. We're going to be back here tomorrow evening sometime after 6 p.m. on Friday night, March 24th, with another episode of Emergency Management Associates dedicated to preparedness. So let's get prepared, brothers and sisters. Let's do it to them tomorrow evening. God be with you till we meet again. Good night, everybody. Much love.